Hi there, I'm Debra Corey, and I am the co-author of the book Build It, a Rebel Playbook for World-Class Employee Engagement. And I'm really excited to be here today with Magda Lategan from Estée Lauder in Australia. And we are here today to talk about a play that is in the book, which is about learning. It's a high-touch approach to learning, which is perfect for a company like Estée Lauder, and you'll explain what that means in a minute. And what I like about it and why it's rebellious is that it really does make learning unique to your workforce. It's innovative, it's creative, all the things that being rebellious is all about. So before we jump into the play, maybe you can tell us a little bit, Magda, about the company.
Thank you, Debra, and it's a very exciting company. Estée Lauder Australia have been around for 52 years. In fact, Estée Lauder itself was established in 1946 by Estée Lauder. And from the very beginning, it's something that when you join this company, you grow up with is the high touch. And we have just under 2,000 employees and across many different brands. And I think that's what makes it exciting, because these brands are in competition with each other, but we're also a family. And you know, if you think of a family, how do you keep the family spirit, but also the competitive spirit? So for instance, the way Mac will train may be different to the way Clinique will train, or Estée Lauder. And these brands keep us alive. They give us the passion and the feeling that why we want to be here. And it's all about our customers, and I think from my point of view and from what you've described in the book, our employees are our internal customers, and we need to give them the same experience as we give to our people behind the counter and to our customers. Today it's all about the consumer, and how do you make sure the consumer stays with you? So we like to give our consumer a bespoke experience, and that's what we call high touch. That it's a high-touch experience for that person. So our credo is bringing the best to everyone we touch, and touching is very important to us, touching people's hearts and minds. And I'm a bit mad and crazy. I've been around 29 and a half years. I come from an art background, and so I think putting me into HR was probably a bit of a risk for the company. But it wasn't about me, it was about the wonderful people that I work with, and how we together can make learning a high-touch experience.
But see, I think it's really great to have creative people in HR, because a lot of times in HR we've got a lot of black and white structure, processes, and what I think makes HR successful is when you add the color and you add the creativity, and you've definitely done that in the learning program. So I guess it's no surprise then that when you looked at your leadership learning program, you did add a little bit of Magda flair to it. So I guess if I start with the why, what was the reason that you decided to put in place this program?
I think we were looking at our current and at our future leaders, and the uncertain world that they face. You know, the trends that are happening, they're happening so fast that something's a trend today and it's not a trend tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's so much messaging out there that our customers hear, that our people hear, and how can we help, assist our leaders and our future leaders to be able to cope with the future? And I think that's the thing. Yes, I can send somebody on a negotiation skills course. Yes, I can do all of that. And yes, those courses are very, very valuable. But I felt we needed to put together a course or a program that helps people stretch their minds. And to do that, I do believe you have to put some creativity into it. Now I'm told some people the accountants are black and white, just give them the answer. We had some very senior accounting people on this program, and one of them actually said he's already been with us 35 years, and he said to me, it's the best and the most amazing program I've ever been on, because you looked at my heart, you looked at my mind, and you looked at my soul. He said, and to me that, he still, and I often talk to him about it, to me that's what's important. So to me, adult learning is a little bit about fun as well, but stretching people. You don't tell them the obvious.
Well, I mean, as a leader, we expect so much out of our leaders, and you know, you can learn the textbook accounting, HR, those types of things, but being able to manage such a diverse workforce, you're right, you need to learn more of the emotional intelligence part of it.
Right.
And that's to me how learning has to evolve, and what innovative companies like you are realizing, that that's really the role, to focus on that and less on the traditional type of management development.
I agree, and I think it's that collaboration. Because if you think of it, we've got 17 brands represented in the company. So if we run a training program and we try and tailor it to all 17. So I think one's got to say, what is it that you collaboratively can do together? And I think, you know, that's what's important. So they have to think about stepping out of their comfort zone.
Yes.
To me, it's all about mindsets, and we've all got a very particular mindset. And what I'm hoping to develop is people that just look outside the mindset and say, well, what else is there? So this program to me was so exciting because we collaborated. And I think one of the key things we did in this program that was such a success for me is when people arrived at the program, they were all dressed the same. And you can say to them, oh my goodness, you know, they were all dressed. Right. We gave them all, and they all got five T-shirts, or some were T-shirts, some were sweatshirts, whatever. And they could choose the bottoms that they were allowed to wear. They could wear black or white or brown. But everybody looked the same. So it's a bit of a leveler.
Right.
And I think it also makes people kind of feel, well, I'm in the group with the MD, but it doesn't matter because I'm here to learn, not because he's the MD. He's going to learn from me and I'm going to learn from him. And so the whole program was based on that everybody's equal. I mean, we didn't say you're all equal. We just kind of, everything we did.
But it's those subtle things. I think that's really, really intelligent, the way you started from the beginning with such an important message.
That's right. Have a theme. Make sure people understand the theme, and make them dance. People.
Oh, is that your tip? Okay, yes.
That's a tip. Make people dance. When I do orientation, the team call me and, can you come and start the orientation? And I've got all these people sitting there, and then we make them dance and make them do moves. But putting that aside, it's about people feeling the same. And then we divided people up into teams, okay? And we made sure that the teams were from different functions and different brands, because the way you sell skincare in Le Mer, which is a beautiful brand, and MAC and finance are three very different functions. So to me it was very important that those people learn to work with each other. And I think a big learning for people as well was that, you know, the guy in finance, that management account, has got some very good ideas. And so I think there was that camaraderie. It wasn't, oh, you know more than me because you're the brand manager. It was, let's learn together.
Right.
And so it was those subtle little things. They all had bandanas and different coloured bandanas so that you could see who the team was. And it wasn't silly. We had a silly night as well. Because I think you've also got to, you've got to allow that. But people were intrigued. So at night when people came to dinner, for the whole time, they had to wear their T-shirts.
Right.
So there was never anybody that could get dressed up in anything a bit different. That could be creative though. Some people were very creative with bandanas.
Okay.
I can say to bandanas. There were some very creative things happening with bandanas, but no, we won't go into
That'll
that.
be the next video. Okay.
I think
there
so.
You go. Yes.
How to use a bandana or tie a bandana.
Yes. But I think it's interesting also, I've worked in a retailer before with different brands before, and how you did bring people together. That says something about the company. You know, you're all Estée Lauder, you're all going in the same direction. Was that one of your objectives in this training program, to create this collaboration? It
is. Collaboration is one of our, I would say, our key successes in Australia. And I think we get used in the organisation as a country that really does collaborate. And so I think it is very important. And all our training now, we're busy with digital training, very similar concept. It's not over 5 days, but everybody's involved and it's very collaborative. And to put different people from different brands and functions together is, to me, what the richness is of the program. And the level of engagement that you have if the presenters are also of another level. And I certainly, again, don't mean that normal training programs don't have amazing presenters. But we had people from Wharton University. We had, Mark McCrindle, who's a local social researcher. So we Dr. Andrew Hayes, who's an expert in negotiation. So these weren't just, just a normal training program. People realized that the investment was into people who stretched their minds because, Kathy Pearson's view on strategic thinking, we all know strategic thinking and these are the things you learn, but she took us on another journey and she challenged us.
Is that why you brought in these external speakers?
That's right. And their brief was, we want you to challenge people. And not challenge people in the way that, right or wrong, but challenge people in thinking about things in a different way. And I think that's what was exciting.
It also makes them feel special in that you're taking the time to bring in all these external, speakers that can challenge them.
That's right. And did case studies with them, got their views and challenged. Somebody said, I think this is an idea. And Kathy said, no, well, why? What about this? Did you think about that? What would this? And so people in the room started to open up and think of different ways of approaching. And that's why, to me, you have to think creatively. I think the other part that was important to me is we started off every morning with exercise. Now, not everybody's, what time? 5:30, there was Ron. If you weren't there, you got to knock on your door.
Oh, really?
And
it's like boot camp.
Yeah, no, it was like boot camp. But what was great about it, there were different choices.
Right.
So there was boxing, there was going for a walk, there was doing exercise, so it didn't matter, but people started off. And we ended the afternoon with meditation. And we had somebody coming in doing deep meditation with us. So it was it was the whole, the whole being.
Is that the intent for doing it on both sides, meditation and exercise, to look at the whole being, as you say?
Yes, it was. And just before we did the meditation, we had what we called learn to action teams. So the people then broke into their natural teams, because remember, we've mixed them up.
Right.
But then they break into their natural teams and they say, okay, today was about the consumer, it was about trends, it was about messaging. What can we as a team take away from this? And people will set personal goals and the goals for the team. Now those goals have been followed up on. So I can give you many examples of things that came from that we now actually use.
And I love that also, because a lot of times you spend all this effort sending people to training and then you have this, you put the notes away and you never do anything with it. It sounds like it was really activity-based, action-based, followed up. Was that the intent of all of it, to keep going past the training?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, definitely. Because I think if you don't, as you said, you get some amazing training programs, amazing, and you always learn something from it. But you walk away and 3-4 weeks later, you forget. To me, the advantage of doing something like this with your leadership team is that you often send one person off on a program and they come back and they are so excited. They're like one of those little Duracell bunnies that jump up and down, and you're terribly excited. And everybody around goes, what have they had?
Right.
And suddenly we had 50 leaders who came back, and there was this buzz of excitement. And people wanted to hear more about it.
Right.
And so people are very excited about, when they go on the program. And so we've had smaller versions of the program, and we're now planning another long 5-day residential program. But I think that's exciting. Involve the people, but set the bar high. Because you may say, but there's people that they're not going to be able to cope with this.
Right.
But yes, people do, and people ask the questions.
So what type of results? You talked about how you've got lots of examples of things that people have done. What kind of examples can you talk about?
Well, sort of one of the things that was interesting, that we had Dr. Andrew Hayes doing negotiation. And negotiation's always about win and lose, or who wins, who loses, who doesn't. And obviously he taught a little bit about the basics. But Estée Lauder Companies is about relationship building. And so he spoke about negotiation in the relationship situation, about negotiation between two people in a team.
Right.
So it's not just your negotiation that you use outside. Your techniques are the same. So it was interesting that the teams were all separate, and then on the last day they all had to tell us what their learning to action was. And one of the learning to actions, they said, we want to run this negotiation skills course for all our people in Australia.
Good.
And so we do. and we've got one coming up. So we have a 2-day residential program at Macquarie for all our employees, and they have to be with us after, for 6 months or so,
Right.
and they go on the negotiation skill program.
And that wouldn't have happened if
That
they
wouldn't
hadn't
have
have
happened,
taken
because
that course.
People go on negotiation skills, and my people don't
Yeah.
need to go on negotiation skills. The other thing was that whilst we thought we were very good at collaborating, the power of bringing all the marketing managers together from different brands and talking about what's happening in the market, people were more open to that. Now, I'm not saying it didn't happen before that. So we had these little groups forming, task forces. People were now keen to be on a task force, even if they didn't maybe know much about it. So let's say we have a social and digital task force. You have somebody from finance on there. Now people
Right.
say, well, or we have somebody from the warehouse. But people bring different
Yes.
things to meetings. So I think those are, I would say, 3 of the big call-outs for me. And also that we realised that we have such a pool of talent, and that we don't, as much as we think we do all these amazing things, people like to be creative.
Yes.
Now, creativity doesn't have to be dancing, but yes, it could unleash ways that people could be creative. And
Yes. It's a lovely way of putting it.
Yeah.
Unleash. So you're unleashing collaboration, you're unleashing talent, you're unleashing creativity. And when we talked at the beginning about it being high touch, a lot of the activities, it sounds like that's a theme in what you did. Everything was high touch, touching people in different ways.
I think it's so important, Deborah, because I think often we think it's an internal training program. We'll just have a few notes, we'll have a few sandwiches outside. Now, I mean, we do just go that extra mile. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It's just that personal little touch.
Right.
Knowing things about people, celebrating things, and letting people work in teams, and not always because in each team there was a leadership member. But he wasn't or she wasn't the person that would always tell everybody, stand up and talk. Everybody in the team got a turn to be the spokesperson for the team. And I think that's quite empowering as well.
Definitely.
For people to understand, I have a voice.
Yeah.
We talk about lead from every chair. It's a sort of a global thing. And so we say you can lead if you're the receptionist, if you're the MD, if you're a sales executive outside. And so we have to help people to lead from every chair by giving them skills.
And it's really important because a lot of times at companies you have values or missions and purposes and their words, but it's translating it into actions. And it sounds like that's what you did. So let me ask you a question. What kind of tips, so you've now done this, what kind of tips, somebody's inspired by what you've said and they think, wow, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do it. So obviously they'll dance, we know that, do a bit of exercise, yes. But what kind of 1 or 2 tips that you could give people who might want to do this?
Well, I think you have to look at your business strategy, and you have to say what are the key things that we believe is going to be part of what we need. So for us, it was around negotiation, strategic thinking, around the whole person. And so, we had somebody talking to us about our own personal goals, what we call the corporate athlete, and also the consumer. So I think you have to understand what are the messages.
Yes.
And then perhaps make sure that you don't have too many things happening on one day. So what we did is each day we took one subject and worked with it on that day. And my biggest learning was that we didn't give people enough rest time. I think people did say it was fantastic, but it was full on.
Yeah. And it's that balance of jamming too much into it. You're going to take people away from the business, but yet, to your point, not overwhelming them.
That's right. Because we were going to give them one evening free, and then we decided, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to have some fun activity, which people loved, but people were exhausted. And so, I'm in two minds about, as you say, you've got a captive audience. You're away from the office. So I think that's a tip. Another tip is, right up front, we set rules of engagement. So when people came into the room, and in our opening address, we spoke about what are the rules of engagement.
Right.
And the main ones were no devices. So nobody was allowed to have a iPhone or a laptop on during the session.
Which seems so basic, but so many people don't do that. So yes, I agree. Definitely.
And it seems very basic, but
does,
I
but
think
it
it
doesn't
sets
happen.
the standard
It does.
because,
Yeah.
you know, you go to these, you know, workshops and people are, you know, busy playing with their devices.
Yeah.
You know, that was interesting, is that you ask people to be open, and you kind of have a contract with them that, you know, we're delighted to have you here, but we need your input. So I think the rules of engagement were very important.
And
That
setting
we
expectations.
started on time, and I know those are little things, but to me, lessons learned, tips is stick to that. You know, if somebody is unfortunately, then they do take their call during their break, and they're late. We're not waiting for somebody. With the doors open, the music starts, and people come in. The other thing is that you do need to mix the teams up. And I think not be as scared of the different levels. So it's different levels as well as different brands and departments. You know, that you do give people the opportunity. But you also must make sure you have a very strong back stage team. I mean, HR were and creative services were, you know, were the backstage team. They were there all the time. If people needed things, that was the high touch. The snacks were all energy snacks. We didn't have stuff that could make people fall asleep. You know,
You
so it
thought
was
of everything.
We did.
You really did.
And,
yes.
and a lot of the ideas came from the team. Well, what about this? What about that? But you do have to make sure everybody understands what you're trying to achieve. Because if you don't, you know, and then you must celebrate. We had a graduation ceremony at the end, proper graduation ceremony with the proper caps, and capped them and did the whole thing. And people felt special.
Everyone's going to want you to come and plan their next learning program. Definitely.
Well,
yeah. No, I think it's really good. And what, you know, it's not going to be done the same in every company. You made it something that's unique to Estée Lauder and your values, your culture, everything that works. And I think, you know, just to add on to your tips, and you said at the beginning, I would make it your own, which is what we say about everything about employee engagement. So take some of the lessons and some of the learnings and innovation from Magda, but go back and be a rebel in your own way, but don't be afraid to challenge what you're doing and do it differently, because you've had fantastic results. You really have.
And I remember, you know, running one or two things, you know, by some of the senior leaders. Says, "Oh, no, we can't do that. That's not right." And I think, as you say, trust yourself. Sometimes you do just have to trust and make it your own. Make it your company. And if it doesn't work, you can do something different next time.
Exactly.
You know, that's what's
doesn't
important.
have to be perfect. Great. Well, I could go on talking much longer. I'd say we could end with a dance, but that might be too much for the video. But
well, I don't know if they'd be able to keep up with us. And what music I'd choose, because my music list is very extensive.
Great. Well, thank you very much. We've got lots of information, other videos like this on rebelplaybook.com. Lots of ideas to help you with innovation and becoming a rebel, however you'd like to. So just go out there and do it. Okay?
Thank you, Debra.
Thank
Great
you very
chatting to you.
much.
Thank you.
Perfect.